Welcome to this edition of the Vawlin Out podcast. I'm your host Jordan here with my co-host Swanee, and buddy. Seems like we made a new buddy with Billy here, man. Billy's back with us. He's going to talk with us about the upcoming 2024 Vols football season, man. How you doing tonight, Billy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm just happy to be back again with you guys and ready to have some fun.
You right? We're going to talk some Vols football tonight, buddy. Me and Swan's been itching for this one. This one is I'm the football guy. Football's my thing. So uh, I don't know about you guys, but let's get into it, man. So we're going to start out. We open up the season with UT Chattanooga. I think we all know how that one's going to go. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of if we win, but how much we win by. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm with you there, man. I mean, we got to come out and set the tone for the season, get our fans something to cheer about this year. I mean, don't want to start off out the gate without being top of program on the land of University of Tennessee because everybody is shining right now in the sports world of all world.
Yes, that's the fact, man. I think that one's more one of those games where it's like, okay, let's come out, let's beat this team how we're supposed to beat them by just beat them to sleep. That's what you want to do basically, and get out of there with everybody healthy. So that's because that in 22 we played. Was it who was it? Kent State? No, it wasn't Kent State. Who was it?
Who was that? I
Uh,
know exactly.
The
I remember what
Akron.
you're talking about. Yes.
Akron. And we got Tillman hurt on what a lot of people call a cheap play, and I think it kind of was too. But yeah, ended up with him hurt, and
Akron, Akron was dirty.
they were. There was a few that you're just like, I don't think so. Um, but that's I don't think UTC is not going to do us that way. I'm not worried about that. We've played them several times before, and it's really never been an issue with them. So, um, that being said, though, boys, then next week we get to go to Charlotte and play NC State, the Duke Mayo, whatever, kickoff classic. Every time I hear kickoff classic, though, I think of Derek Dooley in that damn leather helmet. And then being like, hey, guys, this is how you shower properly. Just, like, who does that? Um, but a lot of people are sitting here saying, don't sleep on NC State. What are we missing? Because I don't see that being a contest really. Like it shouldn't be, I don't feel like.
Well, anytime you go on the road, and also you're going to play outside the conference, and most of these conferences feel disrespected by the SEC. So anytime they get a chance to play an opponent like Tennessee, that's right now being really hyped up with the quarterback and everything, these guys are coming out here playing this game as like their national championship game. I know a lot of guys that play with like NC State and like North Carolina. Well, these guys they are kind of like pissed off because all everybody talk about is SEC, SEC. But these kids they're coming to play. And we going over there. They pretty much going to be a home game for them, even though we're probably going to sell just as many tickets as them.
True.
But when you got the travel on the road, it's always can turn into a dogfight at any time.
That's true. That's true. And we've talked about it before on here going back to last year, hype on the road is a bit of a situation at the moment in big games. Games where we go out there and we're expected to win, and he handles it. Games where we're Missouri last year. I mean, Missouri whipped us last year, and that's my main concern going. We'll talk about it a little bit more going forward. But that's my main concern with hype this year. Like he's got to put that he can't win on the road narrative to bed, and he's got to do it with the quickness this year.
Yes. Well, I think he's going to have to build off the end of the season and let these guys know that we this is our time to shine now. Everything is on our back. And the one thing I hope they do is don't put too much pressure on Nico. Nico, I mean, he's going to be good this year, but I still think, I don't care. He's still a young guy that still don't have a lot of experience on the field. And right now, Nico has a bullseye on his back because he's the only quarterback that really anybody's talking about in the SEC right now. So anytime you have those type of situations, you got to be careful with your quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we got to have Nico healthy for the the SEC slate. Don't want to risk him in a game like this because I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, that game's I don't want to say meaningless because none of them are meaningless, but you don't want to risk him going forward because you've got the conference, and if you win your conference, you're still in the playoffs. Whether you win, whether you lose 3 games or not. But if you lose 3 games in the SEC, you're not going to the conference championship. It's just that simple. So, there's a lot to kind of unpack with that one. I don't know. I want to say I don't think that one's going to be a contest, but kind of like you said, they're going to come out, they're going to be pissed off and feel disrespected. So they'll give us their best shot. Seems like I
They're
want to say
returning 12
though
starters from a 9-win team.
that's damn solid right there.
NC State's returning 12 starters from a 9-win team. They've had a lot of consistency at the head coach spot too. Dave Doran's been there for 11 seasons. You guys remember when he was a candidate for us? I think at one point. I want to say between
Yes.
Butch and Pruitt.
I think
Maybe even between Dooley and Butch.
I think it was between Dooley and Butch. And if I would have known that, I'd have ripped their arm off for him. I mean, honestly, I would have. I hate to say it because, Butch kind of sold us for a while. And then he just kind of was like, nope, just kidding, guys. We're gone. But, we come out on the better end.
On 3 sports, think really highly of NC State. They have them ranked standings. Well, we're 11th.
They're where?
They are at 16. We're at 11.
Okay, so on paper, game could be a lot closer than what we think it'll be.
Yeah, let's not sleep on the Wolfpack.
Okay, all right. I'm going to say this though. You guys remember going back to God? I hate to bring him up, but Dooley. He had just got that big shiny new toy with Cordero Patterson, and that's when this game, even though it was in Atlanta, I want to say it was the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic then. But this game is where we found out who Cordero Patterson was and what that man was all about. I'm thinking we find a breakout wide receiver in this one, and he's not going to be one that was already on the roster.
I hope you're right, man, because we need that depth at wide receiver bad this year. We need a depth chart like when I played at Tennessee. You got guys that was like backups that were Pillis Price backups. You got guys that were Cedric Wilson that was backups. And then your starters was like Joey Kent, Marcus Nash, and all those guys. That's where we supposed to be right now. I think last year with Brew going down, that kind of hurt us. And hopefully, with his leadership and being able to be one of the older guys to teach the guys some things to not basically, I say they don't have to produce right away.
Sure. Yeah, that helps. I want to say though, Brazil. I think this is the game we see what that kid's all about right here, because everybody's talked him up all spring. Everybody talked him up coming out of the portal. I think this might be the game where we see what he's got. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I hopefully, we get a lot of kids some reps. Hopefully we get up 35-7 at halftime. And, at least come back out third quarter, put up another 14, and we can put, second, third string in and see what those kids can do. because now we got what? Who is it? I think we got Kent State the next week at
Yep.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's another school that you just never know because, like, typically Kent State have a lot of speed. Speed is
Right.
what they've always had, especially at receivers. And I'm still trying to find out, like, who is our speed now?
Sure. Sure. That's a good question. We got Squirrel. That boy can run. He can run
Oh
like a
yes,
damn deer.
most
Um,
definitely.
I'm curious, like in these first three games, really. I want to see what the running backs put out there because we lost Jalen Wright. Jabari Small's gone. Uh, I want to see what they put out there because that was one of our strong suits for the last couple of years. Honestly, was we had a deep running back room, and this year, we've lost a good bit of production with that. I mean, the Dolphins got Jalen Wright like fourth, fifth round. They got to steal with him,
We got
you
to
know,
steal.
because he was lights out last year. Anytime that boy touched the ball, so we'll. I want to know what I want to see. That's what I want to see in these first three games because people get hung up on how many points Hype puts up and this offense puts up, but it's all predicated on the run game. It's really a very balanced offense whenever you break it down and you look at things. And it's really 50-50 with run pass. The pass just gets so much, attention because he's hitting these deep passes, after, 2, 3, 4 yard runs. And then next thing you know, he's over the top of you and for 50 yards and touchdown. That's where a lot of the attention comes from for the pass game. I want to see the run game be where it has been, and I don't think we got to worry about that honestly, as long as the O line's healthy.
Well, I think you hit the perfect spot right there. That's something that we all have forgot about. That Hyper's offense is designed for the run game. He is a run first type of coach, and we got spoiled with the Hooker year where we broke every record and all the receivers was having fun. Hyatt was wow, and we really forgot what the run game truly did for us because we did well these past few years on the run game, and
Yeah,
balanced attack is huge in today's football. I think we'll be okay with the running game. It's just I'm serious about the receivers, man. I mean, I think that is going to be the X factor this year, seeing who's going to step up and help Nico become the quarterback that I think he can be. Because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and I'm talking about Heisman type talking about him, and when you get that type of pressure on you, it ain't easy, man. I mean, mentally, it is exhausting.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're here, because you've already and when you go to a big time school, you've already got all this, all these expectations on you. And we all know how our own fan base is. We're crazy about our football team, and it's that's the way it is. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one. They got a Nico. Man, I'm so excited for that kid this year. I think we're going to go as Nico goes this year. I mean that it's the quarterback. That's what everybody says every year. But I really think we're going to go as he goes this year, and he brings a different element to the run game with his legs. So that's another thing. I want to see that. I want to see that read option game a little bit out of him and see what he can do with it because he's got some long legs, man. He can run. Uh, so I'd say it's safe to say we're calling 2-0 after NC State.
Yes.
Okay, Kent State wash 3-0. I'd say it's handled. Um, Next up though, Swan, you're actually talking about going to this game. We got to go to Norman. That's the first big game of the year, really. And I think that's one of our swing games. I've got two on the schedule. I think that's one of them. So that's and there's a lot of storylines for that one, man. Hype going back to Oklahoma. They kind of did him dirty a little bit. Didn't want to fire Big Game Bob's little brother, so they made him take the fall for it. Um, you know, this one's got some potential to it.
Well, I think it's going to be a similar situation with the schedule because they have a cakewalk schedule the first three games as well. And, coming, let's see, I think they do that. I think they play Tulane, if I'm not mistaken. And that could be a brutal one for them because Tulane is they have a lot of seniors that's returning this year. And Tulane won't be easy to beat. And I think they'll be pretty beat up by the time they see us. So that can
Yeah,
be, a big help for us.
that's true. That's true. And who knows if we're assuming we're healthy going into this one. I feel like it's one that we're going to be favored in. It won't be by a touchdown or so. I'd say it'll probably be 2.5. You'll get two in the hook, maybe 4.5, depending on how it goes. Maybe by the time kickoff runs around, it'll be a push or Oklahoma even favored by a point.
Yes.
Who knows? Um, but then again, Vegas puts a lot on trends and stuff, and hype being on the road. That's as bad as I hate to say it. That's trend right now. But it's a point. But it's to the point now to where he goes out there and he wins this one. He can do a lot to put that narrative to rest. I think.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be huge, man. If we can get this win, that win to be 4-0. You're talking about an exciting start of a season. I mean, you start seeing them talking about us being ranked top five because
Yeah.
Oklahoma, they're loaded, man. They are loaded. They stay loaded. They always have like the cream of the crop of like the Texas, all the
Hmm.
surrounding northern states, and they typically been stealing a lot of recruits from the state of Texas, and that's huge. Um,
Yeah.
whoever win that game between Tennessee and Oklahoma, I actually think they have a chance to be the ones that come out of the East.
That's true. That's true. But this year though, it's they're not. It's not divisions. It's just the
Yes,
top two teams. So,
yeah.
Lord, man, that could be a doozy, brother. I mean, it could be up there. Like this is one I still feel like though, like this is one we've got to have, and we'll come up with what I've got a question regarding mulligans later on, but I feel like this is one we can't necessarily afford to lose early because we've got Alabama at home, Georgia on the road later on. Plus, Florida. Granted, it's in Neyland, but it seems to they always seem to just give us all they've got, man. Even when we got the better team and they figure out a way to do it. So, um, big boy football starts week 4 for us, though. That's
Yes,
that's fact.
yes. Well,
Uh, After that, though, we do get a bye week, so I'd like to think we're going to be favored over that pesky bye team. But we do get we do got to go to Arkansas.
mm,
That one That one's a weird one because Pittman recruits well out there. They play sound football, really and truly. But last year it was like they had so many people get hurt so early in the year, and they just sort of I don't want to say he just sort of lost them because I don't feel like he did. I just feel like they had a lot of tough luck last year, honestly.
I,
So
I think Arkansas is going to be one of those sneaky teams this year, man. Like they had, like you said, they had a lot of injuries last year. I mean, if most of these guys are going to be coming back this year.
right,
And of course, with the COVID year and everything, we can see a very tough Arkansas team because we're on the road again, and it's going to be. I think that's going to be my first road game to go to because I think we're gonna try to put something together to get Clint and everything and like make that pretty hyped up about make it feel like '98 in a sense.
you gonna make him relive the stumble fumble? You should.
Um,
I was actually looking the other night. I've got I've got episodes put together for, to talk about for the summer and actually break down these games and stuff, man. I'm trying to think. I see it was a wild stat though. Like it's in Fayetteville, and I want to say we've only won there like 2 times in the last 10 years. Granted, we don't play them every year though, so it's been it's a wild stat. I'll have to double check myself on it, but it's like it's one of those where you're like, oh, that could be interesting. The last Arkansas game I remember, uh, I forgot who it was, but Dooley was there, and dude bounced off half the team like they were a wet paper towel and took it to the house for 6 on a punt return. I remember that. That's the last
Joe
one
Adams.
I remember. That's it right there.
They smoked us.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
They played in Neyland in like 2015, I think. Evan Berry returned a kick for touchdown.
I want to say
one. We got beat. It was the year I want to say 2015 because it was the year we blew several leads. Florida, we blew a lead. I'm pretty sure we blew a lead against Arkansas.
Oklahoma was one of them.
Yeah, and we started getting it rolling near the end of the season. But that's the last one I remember against Arkansas.
We played them since then though, and I want to say it wasn't 16. I can't remember when it was, but we played them. We've played them once since then. It was in Neyland. We beat them, but they were god awful. And then Pruitt got his shit rocked by him, which he got. I mean, he got rocked by everybody. I can't remember the other one though. Like, I think the last time we played them was 2020. It was the COVID year, and they beat us like 20-7, or maybe worse than that. I don't remember, but I want to say COVID year was the last year we played them.
I think so too. I think it was the last year we played them,
and it was on the road, and they beat us. But we beat them since then.
Gosh, it doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Right? It's been a hot minute though since we beat them on the road.
Oh man, it just sounds crazy when I think about Tennessee football, man. Because I'm so used to like me myself not losing to anybody, and I'm just hoping and glad we're getting back to that point where we could like say we got a chance to beat teams and not like because like when I talk to fans, like they always say that they're gonna do the Tennessee thing.
Right.
They lose. I'm like, gosh, man, come on. But I think we're back to the chances that we have an opportunity to win every game that we go into now.
Yeah. Tennessee football's come a long way in a short time, man. I mean, you look at that last year Pruitt was here. I mean, they go 2-8?
Oh gosh.
And it's like
lost the last.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was terrible.
It was 2020. 2020 we went out there and got beat. Sorry to interrupt. I just found our series record against Arkansas. We haven't beaten them since 2007 was the last time we beat them in Knoxville.
Oh, wow.
Okay. We've lost the last 3. Yeah. And our last win in Fayetteville comes in 2001.
Okay, yeah. So it's been a hot minute.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that was what it was that I was talking. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, man. That 0-1 team, you were part of that, weren't you, Billy? You were on that 0-1 team.
No.
No?
I was
okay.
I was behind the scenes during that time.
Okay. Because that 0-1 team, man, they were as good as that 98 team. Almost.
No, I mean they should have got it. Was that the year we lost LSU?
Yes.
I had already booked my hotel in California and everything, man. Like
all we had to do was
blame myself. I think I jinxed it when I did that. I'm like, because I knew it was. I'm like, LSU don't have a chance to beat us.
They were playing a backup quarterback.
Yes, back up everything. We took out all the starters, man. They had to back up running backs, back tight end, receivers, everything.
Man,
I feel like everybody's got a jinx story about that game. Everybody you talk to who remembers it feels like that game was cursed.
And wasn't it? What was it? Matt Flynn that year, or was it Ryan Perry?
Rohan Davies' mom supposedly put a hex on us or something.
Yes, that's where I was
I've
going
heard
with it.
that.
I've watched a little True Blood in my day. I could see it happen. I'm just saying. I can see it happening. There's some crazy shit
True
happens
Detective.
down there on that bayou. That too. That too. Great show, Billy. If you hadn't
There's
watched
True Blood
it,
in
True
Louisiana
Detective.
too?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. It's vampire stuff, man. It's just kind of like it's not like Twilight though. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's Buck Wild. It's Buck Wild though. So all right. So we Arkansas. What's the pick on this one, boys?
I think we come by. I think we win by 10.
Okay. Swan, what you got?
I'll take us to win on it just because Arkansas, the wheels kind of fell off on them last year, and I don't know. I forgot about that game honestly when I was doing my research, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's coming back for them, but I'm just not impressed by Arkansas.
They
I
lost
say that,
a
and we'll
lot to
get
that portal.
mollywopped.
They lost a lot to the portal, man. I mean, KJ Jefferson's gone. That was a lot of their offense last year, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm gonna say, even though we're coming off of a bye week, we say we get Oklahoma, we go into that one 4-0. Still a little bit of an emotional hangover from that game, and we win, but it's closer than what we want it to be. Maybe,
Well, me personally, I've got Oklahoma as a loss.
Yeah, I want to, man. I almost picked that one. I did. I almost picked it. Like I was just like, we did a Citrus Bowl preview shortly after they put out the schedule, this, that, and the other, and I seen it was at Oklahoma, and immediately I was like, that's lost, just because it's on the road, and hype hadn't done anything to make me think otherwise yet. I'm hoping this is the game he does it though. I might,
I'd love
later
for him
on
to
we got to
get.
pick.
I'd love for him to get
Go ahead.
revenge on them and put the road demons to bed. I am planning on a trip out there. I have a pretty good reason to go, but yeah, I just don't know about it. I know these ain't your daddy's Oklahoma Sooners, but like Billy said, they're always loaded.
Yeah, they're talented too. They're very talented this year. Like they've got a lot coming back. Speaking of hype though, we've talked enough about him right at this point in time. His mama died yesterday. 69 years old, passed away. So R.I.P. to her. Thoughts and prayers to the Hype family. But that being said, next up, the two most hated rivals on the schedule, boys. Florida, back to back, nonetheless. But at least we get them at home.
This could be the worst 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, it could be, but it's not going to be. I don't think you're going to get. I think we at least split these two, at least. I think.
Have you ever heard of cautious optimism, Jordan?
Me? Never.
I've got it in spades. I'm wearing my cup. Okay, it's gonna be that's a tough 2 week stretch. That's a tough 3 week stretch.
It is. It's a tough 4 week stretch. Really, I mean, you look at it.
Weeks, yes,
because you split. You got to go to Norman, got to go to Fayetteville. Then you're back home with your two most hated rivals. Here's the question for either one for y'all. Gun to your head, absolutely have to make a pick. You have to split these two games. Which team are you splitting with? Are you beating Florida and taking the loss to Bama, or are you losing to Florida and taking and beating Bama?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think we can afford to lose to Florida.
That's
and I say from a player perspective, fan perspective, just a national perspective, just because of what's going on in Florida. There's so much turmoil that's going down there. You're talking about a true full rebuild on both sides of the ball. You're talking about the portal. Pretty much nobody wants to come there. And then, of course, with the NIL, it crushed them when the kid told them they're going to sue the quarterback because now nobody wants to go there because they don't trust him.
That's true. That's true. That's one of the downfalls of NIL. I mean, look at what was it? Lane had Tyler Barron and a couple of others coming from here to go to Ole Miss, and their checks bounced.
It's gonna be a tough one, man. I mean, of course, I know why everybody go to Ole Miss, man. I mean, Ole Miss is, yeah, man. Have you guys ever been to Ole Miss and saw like just the party part of it, though, man? Like that's something when, as a recruit, when you go on a visit and they take you out and you party, and when I say party like a rock star, oh man, Ole Miss, they don't compete with nobody. Their competition is like Miami.
Right, right. Well, and two, they say there's a reason Lane went down there. They redshirt Miss Americas down there. I'm just saying.
I know why Lane went down there, man. Lane don't have the Jenny clamps on anymore, man. Lane don't have the honey-do no more, man. Lane is enjoying the festivities 100%. He don't care if he crash on a motorcycle now. He doesn't worry about what they did in Louisville. He's gonna party to the fullest. Out of all coaches this year, you will see so much smack from this man this season.
I don't blame him. Because, man, I mean, Ole Miss is loaded. I'm glad they're not on our schedule this year, to be honest with you.
Yes.
That's
a dangerous team this year, man.
But it's Lane at the same time, and you're like, what game is he going to drop that he's not supposed to? Because it happens. Just,
going back to your gun to the head question, Billy, well, I agree a lot with what Billy said. You don't want to. Do you want to be one of Florida's 3 wins, or just another notch at Alabama's belt?
Well,
and
okay. So
as much as I hate to, I want to beat Bama again. Obviously, we all do. But them coming back here with a new coach and losing a bunch of guys through the portal, we don't really know what they're going to look like. We'll have a better picture of it by the time they come here. But I right now, I would take Bama. I think we're winning both of those games. Is what
I honestly do. What we don't know a whole lot. We won't know a whole lot about Alabama until really and truly. They got to go to Madison this year. They got to play Wisconsin. Ooh. I don't know. That could be an interesting one. That one could be. I don't think it will be, but it could be. I'll put it like this: if Saban was still there, shoot, that game ain't close. We don't know what DeBoer's bringing to the table this year.
Well, I'll tell you this, guys. Do not expect Bama to be what you guys think they're been. When you lose a coach like Nick Saban, and of course, I mean, they replaced him with a good guy. But if you see the things that they're doing down there to get these guys motivated, it is crazy. So that's why I know they haven't bought into what I say a winning tradition like they used to.
Sure.
That winning tradition, I'm putting it like this here, it's on the bar stand. This is a total different team. Yes, they still have some of the guys, the athletes that they had, and I'm surprised that they stay, which I'm not, because the money that they're paying these guys is ridiculous. I don't think that I can see Bama losing 4 games this year. Have you seen Bama's schedule?
Yeah, I mean they've got to come here. They've got LSU. That's in Baton Rouge, if I'm thinking correctly. They've got Texas again. And then early on in the year, I've got it right here. Actually, I've got it up to when they play us.
At Wisconsin's going to be tough. I think they got lucky because I'm pretty sure it's a noon kickoff.
They've got Georgia. They've got Georgia before they play.
Bama's got Georgia?
Yes. They've got to go to Wisconsin. Georgia does come to Tuscaloosa. I don't think it matters where that game's played at. Georgia's going to beat them.
Yes, Georgia beat them. Georgia is loaded, man. They are the new top of the dogs of the SEC right now.
Like
no one is matching them position for position right now.
It sucks too because they bark at you. The grown men bark at you, but it sucks and it sucks. But here, okay, so one of the things I was going to bring up whenever that game comes around, they could either be 5-1, they could be 4-2, or they could be 6-0 whenever we play them. It could be 6-0 versus 6-0, or it could lose a little of its luster because they've lost 2 games, but it's still Bama at the end of the day. So it's that one's gonna that Florida game. That's my other swing game because if we lose that game, I think a little bit of the hope that we could make it to the playoffs goes with that because it's at home and it's honestly at this point in time it's a bad loss because Florida's not coming into that game with a winning record. I don't think their schedule's brutal this year.
That's the worst schedule in college football.
Yeah,
their athletic director needs a stern talking to at least, or a pink slip.
Right. So, I mean, that's one I don't feel like we should lose. Don't think we will, but we've always talked about it before. Even when Tennessee's had the better team. Last year, Tennessee had the better team. They went down there and lost. Mm-hmm. So, last time
it's happened over and over and over again.
It has, and it's not. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It just happens that way. It seems like weird things happen in that game.
I'll tell you what it is. It's exactly the way it was when I was at Tennessee. It's called with us. It was the Spurrier jinx. Spurrier had us by the balls.
Yeah.
Nick Saban was the exact same way. And it showed. When we beat Alabama the year before, there was no one else on the schedule that those kids thought can beat them.
Yeah.
Last year, going into the Alabama game, we were ready. They was hyped. They came out the first half and they started it off like they finished it last season. And then they come back at halftime. And I never blame referees for anything. Never, because I always try to beat the referees by using the scoreboard. Well, we had already did that. But when you're playing against the Zebras and the 22 kids that's competing, it's hard to win.
That's true.
And it sucked because there's no way Alabama should have beat Tennessee last year.
There were some calls in that game where, you watch Tyler Bear and James Pierce Jr. get just flat out tackled on edge rushes, and they kept the flag in their pocket, swallowed the whistle, and that was it. It was just like, come on now. But, I want to say this too, and I know tonight I've come off as somewhat critical of hype on the road. I felt like though he come out in that game with the game plan to win. That's one thing you can't ever doubt with the man. He plays to win the game. He don't go out. He's like Herm Edwards. You play to win the damn game. You play to win the game. He plays to win the game. I felt like though that second half he hung a little bit more on that defense than he should have and got conservative on offense. You can't do that. Cannot do that in this game. Like you go out there and you let them hang, buddy, and you beat them. Like put them away because we were up 21-7, 21-10 at halftime in that game. And then you're thinking, I get it. The defense honestly had played good enough in that game to be like, okay, I could put this on them, but I need to give them a little bit more before I do it.
So here, think about this here. That Alabama team, first half, there's no way you can tell me they were that much better the second half. So I just want to tell you guys this here. That team that we played the first half of Alabama, That's what you're going to have to expect Alabama to look like from now
There you go.
on. I say everybody don't get this, man. Nick expects nothing but the best out of you. These kids got a new guy in town. This is not Nick, man. I'm telling you, this is not Nick. Nick is mean as a snake, man. I'm telling you.
Oh man, I'll tell you
And
this
those
much.
guys, yes, it's gonna be something special to watch this year, and I'm gonna love it when they lose 4 games.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I've said it so many times before on this show since Saban has left. I respect that man. You can't do anything but respect him. But I would absolutely hate knowing I'm the guy that has to follow that man. I don't want to follow that man. I want to follow the guy that followed that man because DeBoer, he goes 8-4, 9-3 in 2-3 seasons in a row. That ain't gonna cut it down there. Bye. Right there's the door. That's how they are down there. I mean, honestly, that's how we are here. That's how we got your head coach spoiled us. That's why we've went through what we've went through. And it's not a bad thing. But you gotta realize at a certain point, okay, this is this guy's ceiling. DeBoer's ceiling might be 11-1, 10-2 in a playoff. He ain't gonna win it every year like Saban did, though.
Well, I'll put it like this here: if Western Kentucky, the first game against Alabama, and let's say Bama just wins by 3 points, oh my gosh!
Oh. Somebody's sister's getting whipped that night. I'm just saying. Somebody's dog's getting kicked that night.
Oh,
Come here, Ethel.
He may have to do a Kiffin and go back to his alma mater in the middle of the night. And he won the game.
After the first game.
I'm telling you, that's a situation down there. I think it's going to be, it's going to be sweet either way. I'm smoking a cigar that night, and I'm going to go on record right now. Tennessee beats them by double digits in Neyland. We go into Kentucky 6-0. Kentucky's up next. 7-0. Excuse me. You right. 7-0. We go into that game 7-0. Kentucky comes to town. Maybe plays us a little bit closer than what we want them to, because that's one of those games. It seems like every year we either blow them out or we barely sneak by them. Your time on the hill, Billy, we always blew them out. I mean, it wasn't even close.
No.
That was as you called it, that was a stat game.
That's a stat game, man. We trying to put the stats on the board. Hey, I'm trying to get me 3-4 tackles for loss and be finished by halftime.
Yes,
we should beat them by at least 14. Easy, I think. They lost a lot this year, man.
Remind me of the score of this last season.
33-27.
That's right.
33-27. We led by.
So we've struggled up there, and then when they played down here in the Heupel era, we've smacked them down.
Yeah, it's all, but it's not a matter of if, but by how much. Basically,
they've got another quarterback that's transferred in that all their fans are going crazy about on Twitter. I can't remember the kid's name. I'll look it up.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it either. But it's like, well, I mean, they had Will Levis when they came here, and well, little Willie went back home with his ball, tail tucked.
All right, he's graduated now, so let's leave the Will Levis slander out of it for a little bit. All right, he's gonna be good.
Yeah, you're a Titans fan. Titan Swanee here.
Well, I'm not.
Not to get too off topic. This is going to be a telltale year for the Tennessee Titans. New coach, new offensive scheme. Our offense is taking a step into the 21st century finally, and a lot of new pieces. Will Levis has been looking good. Videos of him, he looks
go Pack go.
He looks like your boy Aaron Rodgers. Football. He's got some arm. We'll see what he's made of this year, but I've been optimistic about it since he got.
Yeah, I
announced.
know you on Up at Noon. You and I drink mayonnaise with coffee, or coffee with mayonnaise, and you really
Yep. It wasn't that bad.
I'll say this: it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't terrible. Wouldn't do it again.
It's just like it's like putting butter in your coffee, amino acids and all that good stuff. Kentucky's new quarterback is Brock Vandegrift.
Where's he
from? Georgia.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. They might have reason for that to be hype about that then, but he can throw it to whoever he wants to throw it to. They ain't got nobody catch the ball though. Just saying.
Yeah, I think Kentucky is in a true rebuild this year, man. They lost a lot last year, especially to the portal. I mean, I had a couple of guys come in, but I still don't see them being dominant. I don't think they improved from the 7-6, man. I think, may win 8 this year, but I don't think they'll be that much better this year.
Well, here's the thing with Kentucky, and it's not like they are a basketball school. We've always said it, they're a basketball school. Every year, though, they get through the first few games because they play cupcakes, 5-1, 6-0, whatever. And then it comes time for them to play somebody that matters. Of course, this year they don't get that luxury this year. I think they've got like Carolina, Florida, and a couple of others early. But last few years they went down to Florida and beat Florida. So But what I'm getting at is every year we get that Kentucky comes to town, we go up there. It's a top 25 matchup. So Jeremy Pruitt beat their best team in 20 and however long. I mean, if you really think about it, was it Terry Wright that they had back there at quarterback? And Darrell Taylor's still sacking him.
So which one of the SEC teams did they get? Did they get Texas or Oklahoma?
Let me look.
Off the top of my head, I think it's Texas, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think so too.
Gosh,
or maybe they. Okay, so going into our game, they've got South Carolina, Georgia, Ole Miss, Vandy, Florida, and Auburn.
Oh my God!
So they could be, we're looking at 4-4, maybe 3-5 coming into that one.
Oh my God!
If they don't, but at the same time, Kentucky's one of those teams. They just seem to get it done against everybody but Tennessee.
I hope they keep it going like that, man.
We are there. Yeah. We are there, Florida.
We really are.
We are to them what Florida is to us.
That's true, because there's been years, and it's crazy to say this, but it's happened more in the last 10 years or so, where Kentucky on paper's had a better team than Tennessee, but Tennessee's just figured out a way to win. Look at the Pruitt years, and then
maybe twice.
Yeah, maybe right.
Twice. What if they beat us 3 times in our lifetime, Jordan? 11. The year they had the wide receiver at quarterback.
Oh, that game still pisses.
I know the Jarrett Garantano back-to-back pick 6 game, and then there's one in 2017. Did they beat us in Butch's last year?
Yeah, and it was up there. I want to say, it would have to be because it's an even. Yeah, it would have to be. It was up there, and that game was close. And we done plenty to beat ourselves. Like, that's the thing, is I don't feel like Kentucky's ever been better than Tennessee at football. I don't feel like they ever will be. That series is so lopsided. The 3 of us will be worm food by the time that series is even close. Yeah, it's 86-24 or something like that. Like it's an insane record. So, it is what it is. After that, though, Miss State comes to town. I think that's another win. I want to have us riding into Georgia undefeated. I want to. I think Oklahoma is that one game though that I'm like, that's got me hung up. I want to pick Tennessee to win that game. because I think Tennessee is very capable of doing it.
See, this is
But
the
that road
problem
narrative,
with the cautious optimism. By mid-August, I'm going to be agreeing with you. I'm like, yep, we're winning them all. But I know if in order to meet my 9-3 criteria, I'm going to have to switch a couple of mine to at least another one of mine to losses, because I know you said Georgia's next. That's the only certain L that I think we're taking.
Let's see here.
Well, I'll tell you this: if we come into that game undefeated or one loss, I think the confidence that these kids will have, I think it would outweigh the automatic loss.
Yeah, a lot's going to have to happen
guess
from today, May 29th. A lot's going to have to happen between now and October or November 1st, whenever that game is, for me to sway my opinion on it. Because as of now, and this is what Georgia, I don't think anybody's touching Georgia this year because, they got left out of the playoff last year. I mean, they lost to Alabama, but that team that just won 30 games in a row and 2 national championships and now has a chip on its shoulder. And that's scary. I don't remember what bowl game it was, but what they did to Florida State, they're going to do to everybody. And if you go back to the TCU game they played, if you heard the clip on Twitter of Kirby Smart before the game, dude, he's what Saban was, obviously not accolades wise, but it had me ready to run through a brick wall.
Kirby can motivate.
He is So I don't think anybody's touching Georgia this year. But sorry to steal the mic from you, Billy.
Well, here, I'll tell you this here, just to kind of give you a scenario how this season is going to be for a lot of schools, and it's going to affect Georgia as well. Georgia has lost a lot of guys to the NFL. Georgia don't get to keep what I call the COVID kids, because those guys are gone to the NFL. So now these guys have they're going to be playing against 20-year seniors now. And that's why I say this year is going to be totally different when it comes to the top teams, when you got teams that have seniors that are dominant compared to when they have a sophomore, junior. And that's where you're going to start seeing, if they don't change it, you're going to see where Georgia is going to fall off. The Alabama is going to fall off. They're trying to get it to where other schools got a chance to get a championship. And that's why they're allowing this stuff to go on with the transfer portal. They're trying to figure out a way to make the SEC not as dominant and not win all the time. And it's working. But I think with this whole COVID thing, I think that's what's going to change the dynamics of the Georgia team. It used to be where, Alabama lose all these kids and go early to the NFL, and they're not rebuilding, they're reloading. Georgia's doing the same thing now. They're reloading. And like you said, so I think Georgia, it's going to be hard to beat Georgia this year. But the only thing I think about with Georgia is they're still missing a lot of the key pieces that we don't even know about. And I don't know if it's because I didn't get to see a lot of those guys play like we used to see their backups play. They didn't get to do that a lot last year. And I think that's what's gonna humble them in a way that they gotta actually play all 4 quarters now.
I could see that. I get where you're coming from with that. It's one of those things though, man. Like, Georgia's it till Georgia's not at this point. And it's like, I do think that's the one job that I've always dreaded seeing somebody get that knows what they're doing. And as bad as I hate to say it, honestly, when Kirby Smart got that job at first, I was like, hell yeah. He don't know what he's getting into. And now I'm sitting here, I'm just like, yep, well, I was wrong. It happens, but
well, I knew what he was getting into, man. Here, put it like this here. Mark Rich had great teams at Georgia, Mark
He
Richt
did.
just couldn't get over the hump. Mark Richt's
Yeah,
problem was he didn't get a good defensive coordinator to come in and change the dynamics to help his offenses. I mean,
That's
he
true.
was loaded. Georgia
Yeah.
was loaded when Kirby got that job.
That's
Kirby
true.
didn't. Kirby didn't inherit what anybody went to Tennessee. Kirby inherited 4 and 5 star guys, man.
Yes. Yes.
Like so
Yes.
whenever everybody was thinking that he was not going to be able to like come in and compete for a championship, I knew it was going to be quick if he got over the hump to get his defensive guys to change the way Georgia plays. And he brought what Alabama was doing. He brought what I call you bring dominant defensive tackles to this school. There's nothing you can do when you have teams like that. It's hard to
That
beat it. It's hard to
that's
beat it.
that's a fact, man. I mean, even the way the game's changed in the last 10 years, if you've got a good up front run game and you've got a good front four, you're going to win plenty of football games. That's just the way it is.
I'm telling you, go look at the schools that won the national championships.
Yeah.
Look at the 2 interior guys. Go look at their stats. And if you compare the 2 stats based on who's in the national championship game, that would tell you who's going to win that game every single time.
That's true. That's true. All right, boys. So we sort of strayed off topic there for just a minute, but in those 6 games right there, starting with the trip to Norman, going on through the 4 home games, the 4-game homestand, right there. What record does Tennessee need to come out of those games with to A, be in the SEC championship, and B, make the playoff top 12?
Oh man, it still comes down, man. I mean, it's going to come down to how the game go against Georgia. Of course, we lose to Georgia. I think it could be a benefit for us either way it goes, if we lose or win,
Right.
because we lose to them now, we got a chance to get healthy and win the rest of our games or whatever. And of course, the media, they're not going to pick us to go to anywhere. They hate us. But
Right.
if we go out and do our job, and you say, let's say Georgia mess around and lose the SEC championship, it could be a situation where they throw us back in like they do Alabama and all that stuff here,
Sure.
and put them back in there when they shouldn't be. But if they do it the way they've done in the past, I think we have a good situation of coming out and get lucky to go to the playoff if we win out.
Well, see, that's another thing too. We could lose that if Tennessee goes into that game with undefeated and they lose that game. They could still go play Georgia again in the SEC championship game. Then, say that scenario happens and Tennessee beats them there, you've got no other choice. Well, obviously Tennessee is going to make it because the at-large bids go, or like the locked-in guys are, conference champs. You win the SEC, you're going no matter what. So, I mean, realistically, Tennessee could lose their 4 non-conference games, which they won't, but they could and still win the SEC and go.
Question: do they change the playoff system this year where there's more than 4 teams?
Yes, this
Yes, there are
this is
12
that
teams
year.
making it this year.
This is the year.
Hey, so now that's a big change in it then, because now you have an opportunity to be part of that. What is it? What are they going to do? 8 teams or?
It's
12.
12 teams this year.
Oh my gosh!
Your top 4 are your Power 4 champs. Your 5th is like your and tell me if I'm wrong or not.
I think it's
not,
5 at-larges or 8 at-larges. I don't know.
I want to say
my understanding is that your conference champions
your
are
conference
automatic
champs are in.
bids, but the top 4 teams get a bye week, and that's just going to be the top 4. So even if like Georgia lost the SEC title and that's the only game they lose, they can still be a top 4 team.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is there's 7 at large. I want to say your power 4 conferences or whatever. Those champs are in no matter what. There's your bye week. Your 5th seed, so per se, is the non-power 5, non-power 4, whatever they call it these days. Winner, like best of those teams, and then you've got 6 or 7 at large bids per se. So, like, really and truly, the SEC could have 4 or 5 teams in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think they will. I don't think they want that much monotony in it. But
I think we still would.
We'd have.
I mean, you're talking Georgia. Us, we obviously think that we're going.
Right.
Just listening to how we're talking about the schedule, we obviously think we're going. Texas is returning a lot of players.
Oklahoma, Bama,
LSU with Brian Kelly. What's going on?
LSU.
What's going on down there?
Yeah. Right.
It's about time for that to start that tree to start bearing fruit. Yeah, I don't. Vanderbilt.
Ole Miss.
I'm playing around.
Realistically,
Ole Miss, yeah, they are a good team. They could be.
I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, really and truly, it could be just the SEC Invitational if it really come down to it. I mean, obviously they're not going to let that happen.
No,
but it could be.
No, I don't think that'll happen. I mean, just because I think that's the whole expansion of the playoff system. It's easier for them to put teams that they want to align to go to the situation. And it's going to suck for a lot of teams because, gosh, I just wish they just go back to the old school way of it and just be simple and make it work the old school way. Like with me, I'll give you an example. Let's just say that Alabama lost to Vanderbilt the last game of the season. They're ranked number 2 in the country. You lose to Vanderbilt, you should be receiving votes. You should drop out of the top 25. You shouldn't be considered still the top 4 teams in the country. That is the problem with the ranking system that I don't like, though. Like when a team loses late in the season, you lost too late. You shouldn't still get the opportunity to go play for the championship. I understand that your team is the top team. You got top players. But as a player, we know if we lose late, we have no chance to go play for a championship.
I get that point of view too. Like look at last year, for example. I mean, Alabama. Alabama did what they should have to get in, really. I mean, they did. But you look at Washington, Michigan, Ohio State, teams like that. Obviously, Washington, Michigan were both in. Ohio State had a good case to be in, but I mean, like you said, they lost late in the year. That was one that shouldn't have been in because they did lose. They lost their biggest game of the year, plain and simple.
Yes.
Alabama, though, I mean, and it kills me to talk good about Alabama. I despise everything about that state. The best part about it is it touches the state of Tennessee, plain and simple. But they did what they should have. They did what they needed to get in. Georgia kind of got and I loved it, but they kind of got the short end of the stick because I mean Bama was the only game they lost. But yeah, it's one of those things we could talk about it. We could talk about it all night if we wanted to. But I don't know. I think what's going to end up eventually happening is we're going to start now with 12. Next, give it 2 or 3 more years, it'll be 16. Then it'll be 32, and then we're looking at how they do Division II, and it's just going to be an all-out playoff, and that's it. So
do they do 16 or 32 in FCS?
I think 32. I think it may be just 16, but I think 32. Either way,
I think the most exciting thing about all the new playoff is home field playoff games.
yes.
Like imagine
home,
Neyland hosting a playoff game.
yes,
And we have to play like Penn State or something. That'll be awesome.
Or the way they like to do us, or be like, oh well, Alabama round 2 at Neyland Stadium.
We get
this
one
year. Like
one lost Georgia at Tennessee. Yeah,
like that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But so here's the next question. Going through the schedule, we've got so we've up to this point we picked everything up going to Georgia. The Georgia game, win or loss, don't matter, close, blowout, win or loss. Ooh. What you got, Billy?
I still think it's going to be a tough one, man. I think the fact that we have a lot of veteran kids coming back, man, and it's a true difference maker when you got a guy that been in the system that long. And I guess I'm just coming from a player's perspective. And when you get to the point where just as much as the coaches, it becomes so easy. And I'm not sure I haven't even looked at Georgia's roster to see what they have returned. I just know they got a lot. They're loaded. They're not going to fall off much from what they did last year.
Sure.
But I know that they had a lot of guys that go pro, and that makes a difference. They're being quiet right now. I haven't heard a lot about the guys. I know they got a quarterback that's going to be okay this year. I know the running backs will be loaded. The position that I'm still trying to figure out is their wide receiver position. The D-line won't be as stacked as they used to be, but I know they got a coach that know how to get those guys ready to come play. I think we'll probably lose that game, but I still think it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think it's going to be the true blowout that we've been used to being.
Well, last trip we made to Athens, it wasn't an absolute throttling according to the scoreboard. We just did. I feel like a lot of it was Tennessee didn't play good.
They controlled that
plays.
game. It wasn't a blowout, but they controlled the game.
Yeah, right. And Tennessee missed, a couple of opportunities to be like, okay, hey, we're here. We can make this a ball game. We just need the ball to bounce our way a couple of times. That was the one game in that 2022 year that we just got flat out beaten outside of South Carolina. South Carolina had help that game, though. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, that was.
They had help. We've discussed it. Thanks, Connor.
I just thought of a glaring positive from this season. We don't have to hear Gary Danielson ever again.
That's true. I'm not going to lie to you, though. I do kind of miss Drunken Vern. I did like Vern. Gary got on my damn nerves, though. It was always Georgia, Alabama, this, and I'm just like, dude, shut up. Like, give us a damn break.
Well, hey, the media hates Tennessee, so I'm used to it.
It's 100% true.
You got to get used to it. That's just when I see it, I hear it. It don't affect me the way it used to. They hated us when I played at Tennessee. They hated us in the national championship game. We wasn't even favored. When they told me that we needed help to get into the national championship game, I said, "What? We undefeated. How do we need help?"
Right, man.
Gary Danielson. It wasn't just us. It wasn't just us. Gary Danielson on any game is like the Big Ten's about to learn. They're gonna hate.
They are. If you're not Michigan or Ohio State, you're gonna hate him. You're gonna hate him, and I'm here for it. But with Gary, man, He would say the most ignorant shit sometimes too. I'm
God.
just like, dude, come on, man. Like, come on. He like
Yeah.
he'd be like Nick Saban eats petrified dog turds for breakfast, and it, just
Well,
gives
I'll tell
him.
you, this is what I do when I watch, and I know that they're going to be the commentators. This is what I do right here, guys.
Mute it. That's it. Hey, I like it.
I
That's
just
what you
mute
got to
them,
do.
man. I can't take it. I'm like, did he just say that? And can you imagine, like, well, they'd be like, well, Nico probably ate oatmeal for breakfast, so he's probably not going to do well. What the heck does that got to do with this game?
Yeah,
Right.
it's always best to just turn the volume on the TV off and turn on our guys on 107.7. I enjoy them. Makes me feel like home when those guys are on the radio.
I love me some Bob, but
Yep, thank you. Sorry, I lost his name for a second there.
I love me some Bob Kessling. I love me some Bob Kessling every now and then. But the one nitpick I have on the man, Josh Dobbs throws a Hail Mary in Athens to win the game, and we get what a turn of events. And it's just like, dude, that's the best you got? That's the best you could come up with right there. Like, come on. I get it.
He was right.
I mean, he
it
was
a turn of events.
But it's like, the man's sitting here talking like it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and he's like, what a turn of events. Like, Jesus,
he
dude,
doesn't always bring
the
energy, but that's home, baby.
To the checkerboard.
On Saturday. Makes me feel like Saturday.
That's another one of those situations, kind of like with replacing Nick Saban. Anybody that had to place John Ward, it just wasn't going to be the same. Like,
that's true.
The way John Ward used to call those games, man. I mean, the stuff he says that came out of his mouth, it was always exciting, man. It was like, it was never boring. I mean, it could be like the worst play. It could be an injury, and he made it sound like it wasn't that bad at all.
Yes, the man,
he was a color guy. He put color to words.
Like the man could officiate a funeral, and you're sitting there, and you're like, by God, I'm there
on the edge of your damn seat.
Yes, but Bob Kessling legit sometimes sounds like he is officiating a funeral.
Well, yeah, the closest. I'll be honest with you guys, and it's and I saw it the past few years. I think last year that I saw it. You know the guy that does the commentating? That's he does it in Spanish.
Oh, dude, those guys get so high.
And we were supposed to be doing a podcast together, but then he ended up doing the Spanish stuff. And when I say the guy, it's so exciting. Like, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what he's saying, but hey, he got it live. I feel like that's John Ward up there, man. He's always happy about something.
Yes. I mean, it's like
if you've ever listened to a soccer game in Spanish, that's how they call them.
Yes. And
which is crazy. Like, soccer is like,
yeah. And not just that too. You hear those. You hear the color. Like I know.
They have to
hold
on. The announcers have to be that way in soccer to keep you awake through the game.
That's true. It's honest to God truth.
That's his name, Carlos. I remember that, Carlos.
Like that's the truth though. And then it's kind of like watching Swan. I know you don't watch it, Billy. I don't know if you watch wrestling any at all, but even the Spanish announcer guys in wrestling, they're like, oh, just let it go, son. And you're just like, oh my God, that's awesome. And their announcers table is always the first one to go. And it's like that's the most entertaining portion of the show. But that being said, so
let's finish up this schedule.
Yeah. So we've got us at least with one loss, maybe two at this point. We've got UTEP, Vandy, and I'm missing another one. UTEP, Vandy.
No, you're not.
UTEP and Vandy after that one. Okay, so we're thinking we're 9-1. right now at the worst, maybe 8-2. We're going to finish the season either 11-1 or 10-2. That being said, what game or games could we afford to drop and make the playoffs?
Mm.
I think
Knowing
we
that
can. I think we can. Knowing that we what?
knowing that we
I think that
knowing
we
that
can lose 3.
it's a
Sorry.
12-team playoff. Go ahead. Go. Okay.
I think
Three's
we've
a
got 3
tough one.
losses on. I think we can go 9-3 and make the playoff because of what conference we're in, and depending on who those losses are. Are they at Georgia, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas, or is Bama a playoff team this year? I think they're still playoff caliber. Is Bama one of our losses? I think we can.
Okay.
I think we can make the playoff with 3 losses.
Depending on those 3 losses. Billy,
We're
what you got?
3 losses.
We're not hosting a game. We're having to go somewhere. But
3 losses. I don't think that'll get us in because there'll be other conferences that have guys that are undefeated or 1 loss, and that situation will put them in over us. And of course, the media or the bowls or whatever, they will take us, because of the fans that have come to the game. But 3 losses, I don't think that's gonna help us. With me, we need 2 more wins than we had last year. That's
Okay.
a minimum. Anything less than that, I think it's a bad season this year.
Well, one thing we don't know
go ahead,
with this new playoff. Sorry, one thing we don't know about this new playoff is how they're going to judge that. Because if it comes down to it, are they going to give a spot to a 9-3 Tennessee or a 11-1 Coastal Carolina?
Coastal Carolina.
Or,
and the reason, I'm going to tell you why. Because they hate Tennessee.
Okay. So is it a 9-3 SEC team versus an 11-1 Sun Belt team?
They're going to take that.
Who's given that?
They're going to take them. This is and I'm going to tell you why. The reason why they're going to do that. That's the reason why they're expanding the playoffs, to get those guys a chance to get their heads knocked off.
That's true. I can
basically, see that. Giving like in a sense, a Georgia, Alabama, a bye week in a sense, to make it easy to get to that transition and make the thing where now they're gonna be like, well, hey, we might not need to keep this expanded thing because these guys are not as good as they thought they were. I just think that I truly think that the expanded playoff is a mistake. The reason I say, it's just too many games, man. I mean, these kids are going to be broken. Then you also got to think about the new situation of, are these guys going to actually play? Are they going to hold out, not play in this game because it's not worth it? Or they just, kind of get back to it where any bowl game was, good to go to. It didn't matter what you go to. It was a experience. But in today's time, they don't care about that now. I mean, because that game doesn't matter anymore. I mean, we saw that last year when they did that to Florida State. None of those guys wanted to play then. Nobody wanted to play then. And then a lot of people said that Florida State didn't deserve to be in there. Florida State did everything that they were supposed to do to be in that game. And who knows what would have happened if all those kids would have actually played, if they got in the way it should have been.
Well, so I'm gonna counter that with, I think that's why they've expanded it, is to keep kids from opting out of so many of these games. I could see that. Logically,
well, I'll say this. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, logically, if you're playing to an 18 to 22-year-old kid's mindset, you're more likely, if you're being that age, to think, okay, I'm going to play in a college football playoff game, as opposed to that could potentially mean something, as opposed to, well, I'm going to go to, the Papa John's Bowl this year and maybe get my knee blown out. I could see that. I could see where they're coming from, but I don't know. This will be a fun year though, regardless. I think as far as how they do everything and what we see come of it. Go ahead, Swan. What you have?
I think to Billy's point, for the athlete, it is too many. It's probably too many games because that's
Sure.
If you have to play in the first round and go all the way, that's 3 games you have to play. If I'm
at least 3 more.
I'm picturing it in my head. Is that 3 games or 4? Because then you're in the
That'll be
Elite 8.
Be 3, yeah.
I think
it'll be 3 more games.
Okay.
Either way, 3 more games because you're not playing a championship game if you're outside of that top.
You're probably not playing a championship game,
right?
Well, I think eventually, after a couple of years of this, I could see a world where they just do away with championship games, conference championship.
I think that's what's coming. I think that's what's coming eventually.
But from a fan's perspective, it's not too much. I want them to do a tournament with every team.
Let's do
all
it.
Teams
like
get in the tournament. Let's go.
Baby.
Let's do it.
March Madness, baby.
But,
let's do it.
Yeah, it is probably it can get to where it's too much. We would have to look at the FCS and see how exactly they're doing it with their student athletes. Because I don't know if they have conference championship games. Admittedly, sorry guys, I don't want much FCS football until it's late in the year and that's the only thing on TV. And it's exciting, Eastern Washington with their little red turf and all that. But I don't pay much attention to it. But that maybe we use that as a barometer moving forward with this new playoff system. Because clearly it's not too much for the kids.
True,
or maybe it is, and I just don't know.
Well, and maybe they don't. Obviously, they don't play the athletes that Division I guys play either. I mean, or maybe they do, but I don't think they do. They probably feel like they do, but I mean, there's some hard hitters come out of that FCS realm, boys. So,
yeah. Hopefully they don't do that, man. Hopefully they don't put those guys in that situation, man, because it's different, man. It's different, man. It's just. I wouldn't wish that on anybody if they did that to those kids, man. If they put those guys in, let's say if you put like who was it? Would it be like a North Dakota State? Against let's just say if they put them against like who would be like let's just say Tennessee. Tennessee probably would have got their tails whooped by that school. And see, what people don't understand when I tell people about football is basically man on man. If you were to tell me that there was an Alabama team that would have beat us every single time when I played football, I'd have told you you're smoking something that you don't understand what that means. And the reason I say that because I was taught to play the game based off who I was going against. That this guy across from me is no better than the guy that's over there. He may be a 5-star, I may be a 1-star, but I guarantee this 1-star gonna make that 5-star understand why I'm a 1-star that should have been a 5-star.
Right.
Well, people understand that when these kids get on that field in today's time, they're thinking we're playing Alabama. I didn't care if you was Alabama. I didn't care if you was Jesus. You're going to feel me that day and understand that we got a chance to praise this whole situation.
They're catching the smoke.
That's quoting Reverend Reggie White.
Hey, man. Hey, go Pack,
I
go.
always tell you, hey, Jesus is coming.
The minister.
We'll be
So
recording this podcast by the time Jesus gets back if we don't wrap it up. We bet,
boys,
all joking aside, we better wrap it up because I'm getting real chatty.
All right, my man.
hey, that's all right. That's all right. We're here for it. But that being said, boys, so we've come to the conclusion that we're at least going 10-2 or 11-1. Maybe make it to the SEC championship game. I'm sorry, my cat is apparently in heat, boys. And I've heard her all episode, and it's driving me wild.
Well, that's the first time I've heard it. If that makes you feel
I've
better.
heard her. I've heard her. Just man, y'all, this has been a fun one. But let's say we go to the SEC championship game. Who we play? Georgia. Georgia, or if you had to pick a sleeper team this year, who's your sleeper team? I know who mine is. Who's your sleeper teams?
I'm
Ole
going to
Miss,
go with
Texas.
go
Sorry, go ahead,
Texas.
Billy.
One of the new guys, Texas.
Swanee, Texas.
Texas or go.
I'm going Ole
we're on the
Miss.
same page.
They done a lot of work in the portal. Lane's Lane. Let's say he don't drop a game that he's not supposed to. They're there. It could be Tennessee, Ole Miss. Could be Heupel, Kiffin for all the marbles in that at-large playoff spot. That'll be the game he drops because Lane is a choke artist.
I'm gonna change mine because I just realized these guys got a lot of guys coming back. Missouri.
Ooh,
we've not even
that's
thought
a
about
good
them.
one.
Damn,
Forgot
they were a
about
good
We've
team.
not.
I forgot about that.
Good-ass
They're
team.
loaded. They got a lot of guys coming back, man.
They do, man. And Coach Drink
They
stands
beat
on
the
business.
hell out of us.
They did, man.
They
I'm still
beat us
pissed
to
off
death.
about that game.
That wasn't a fluke what they did to us, guys.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. They at first I was like, you know what, man, we may be in for this one. And then I was like, okay, we got a shot at it. And then they're up 31-7, and I'm like, no, we're getting bent over.
That is the best Missouri team I've seen since they moved to the SEC.
Oh,
I know they won the East a couple times, but those were kind of fluky. Like Georgia was
done it on.
We were terrible. Florida was bad.
Georgia
Those
was
teams
iffy.
were not as good as the Missouri team from this past season.
Yeah, that Missouri team was legit last year. No
Am I
cap
delay
on
today?
that one. No. We're good. We're good, Hans.
But yeah, it seems like the year that Ole Miss, they've got the team to do it. We'll see if Lane Kiffin's really about it, because we know he's got it up here, but now we'll find out if he's got it down here.
Yeah.
You guys know where I'm going.
Well,
I'll
tell you this. I'll tell you this. I think he's got it down there. You know what I'm saying? Because dude lets him hang every time he lines up against Alabama. The dude lets him hang, and that's honestly what's got him beat. And that's why I'll say he loses games he shouldn't, because
they'll mess around and win.
He outsmarts himself a lot of the times, man. Like that last year Alabama game, man. He goes for 3 or 4 fourth downs that he has no business going for. It's 4th and a country mile, and he's like, I'm going to throw it. I'm doing it. And he should have punted. They still had a shot to win that game at the end of the game. He always does that kind of stuff. And it's like, I want to like that. If he was my coach, I'd love it. But he's not. So I'm just like, no.
He was at one point.
Screw him. He was.
I think we are in year, what would it be now? 15 of Lane Kiffin?
Probation.
Where do we think we are?
Probation, but we're winning.
Well,
XFL.
I'm gonna call it this here. This is what Ole Miss is to me. They're the new Mark Rich, the new old school Georgia.
I can see that. That's a good comparison, honestly.
There are there are some between the two.
Like they lose games
Maybe
they
get rid of him
shouldn't. They've got more.
and hire Bama's defensive coordinator.
Yep, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to have someone come in, replace them like they did Mark Rich.
That's like the thing about it is down there, 8-4 keeps Lane's job.
Yes, it
And
does.
Yeah, he's in a
That's the
good
thing
spot.
about Lane.
He's in a great spot.
Like that. That's the thing about him is like, we take every opportunity we can to crap on him. I like Lane. I think he's a good football coach. I think he's an awful human being, but I think he's a good football coach.
Yeah.
And the only reason I think he's a bad human being is because of why and how he left here. But he is a good football coach. Too good for Ole Miss, but he's also too damn smart to be like, oh no, I'm leaving here. I'm going to Alabama. I don't blame him. I stay down there. 8-4, 7-5 keeps him safe all day long. Twice on Sundays. 9-3, 10-2 contract extension. Extend that man. He's smart. He's a lot of things. He's a slime ball, but by God, the man is smart.
Yes, he knows how to get top jobs. I do know that.
Yes. I mean,
he must be dynamite in interviews.
Well, yeah, with a name like Joey Freshwater, how are you not?
Have you guys ever seen The Office? Have you guys ever watched The Office? There's a character named Robert California who interviews for the manager job, and he talks to the CEO and talks her out of the CEO job, and he takes over. Like that's how that's got to be what Lane Kiffin's like. Lane Kiffin, he's got to be at that level of just like he could coach anybody.
Yes. I mean, the kids love him, man. I mean, you meet the man, talk to him with X's and O's. I mean, they love the man. I mean, he knows now how to keep them excited, motivated, because he knows how to have fun, man. It's very rare that you get a head coach that's a player's coach. Normally, the head coach is the boring coach. He's just the one that just says, you do that, you do that, you do that. No, he's involved with it.
Yes.
He's telling you suck or you good. He's
right.
just being with him. I mean, he's line dancing. He's doing everything with him. Matter of fact, he might be. I mean, I know he's partying with
him. Right. I will say this about Lane. I met him 2 different times. Once, it was right after he got here. No, it wasn't. It was, I went to a practice one year. Vaughn Reeves. Billy, you might know Vaughn.
Mm-hmm. I know you're talking about.
My doctor actually was good friends with Vaughn. Vaughn was some sort of pharmaceutical rep, got me into a practice with Lane. They were prepared for Auburn that week. Dude, Lane took time to talk to me, and I was like starstruck. I was still, I just graduated high school. I was like 18, 19 years old. And I'm like, he's talking to me. I'm like, man, will you just sign my helmet? Like I hated to be that way. But he did. Like he got it. He was super cool, whatever. And actually, no, I'd met him before that. I was at a basketball game. Bryce Brown. It was when he was recruiting Bryce Brown. Walked right up to him, shook his hand. He was like, nice to meet you. I was like, man, thanks for coming. We love to have you. He was super nice every time I met him, but I always got that vibe off of him. I'm like, that's Mr. Steal Your Girl right there. I'm like, that's who that is. Like that man, yeah. I was just like, there's something about that guy. And then I'll be damned if a year later he's not trotting off to USC to go get fired in 3 years.
Oh man, yeah, you just said it perfect.
Like, I like the guy. He's the kind of guy though that like he's a lot like the old ball coach. You love him if he's your coach. You hate him if he's not.
Yes.
And he don't miss an opportunity on Twitter. The man does not miss. Anytime Tennessee shows up on his feed, he's right there.
Buddy, I thought I was going to have to delete my Twitter account after that Ole Miss game in 21.
Oh man,
it enraged me. I've never been so mad in my life.
Well, his is coming. His day's coming because
we got to put a bow on this.
We do. All right, boys. So that being said, I think we've determined 12, 11 and 1, 10 and 2, playoff berth. We'll discuss that at a later date because I think the season preview, what we expect, has been put out there. Yeah, let's end it like we usually do, boys. Go damn Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.